Hang on, folks. Oh, I was supposed to set up and then go live, but oh shoot. I'm sorry, folks. I'm doing my tripod here. I'm fixing it kind of so it will be stable. Give me a second. Oh. Oh. Okay. I was gonna brush my hair. I'm dressed and I'm out of bed. Um, I'm gonna change my glasses in a second. That's all I could do now. Here's something you need to know when you're dealing with. Oh, Gracie, give me a minute, baby. Give me a second here. I can't play with your toys, sweetie. Give me a second. Put some better glasses on for this. And if my hair's a mess because I haven't brushed it in 3 days, and we'll just get it out of the way. Hey, everybody. So I haven't been able to. Oh, well, I'm in my chair. And the thing is I have only been able to spend 3 hours in this chair a day. It allows me to raise my feet, and I have to lean back just a little bit more. Here's what I've done. I got up and I didn't take any Robaxaset because here's the thing that's really dangerous when you have back pain or any kind of pain that hurts when you move, okay? Like your knees or whatever. If you have to do something, do it before you take your painkillers, right? Oh, I was able to sleep, yes. You do it before you take your painkillers so that you know when to stop. If you take your painkillers, because they kill pain, not completely in my case, because it's just Tylenol, muscle relaxers. But if you take painkillers and then go do dishes and stuff, you could be doing more damage. So here's what's going on. I'm able to move. The walker helps, but I am able to walk a few feet back and forth without the walker. So when I got up, I gave Gracie a can of food. That was my my second bend over for the day. I put her out. I put the kettle on for my tea. I'm conserving movement, right? Gracie's food. Gracie goes outside. Then I put food in her bowl, and I put the kettle on, and then I sat on my walker and did a half a tray of dishes. And my back said, "You are absolutely done." Oh, and I put hamburger and mushrooms and onions in the crock pot. So in an hour, I can get up and add the sauce. And then all Howie has to do is boil the noodles when he gets home. I am not pushing myself. I am not, because I cannot afford to be like this. And I'm going to tell you, folks, don't think it's a herniated disc. Don't think it's a cracked vertebrae, because the pain is in my lower back. If this is my hip and this is my hip, it was an explosion from the center radiating out. Well, now I can feel it. It's just right of my spine. So it's a muscle, it's a muscular issue or a pinched nerve. But it's not a cracked vertebrae or a disc, or I wouldn't be able to sit here with the heat on. Thank God I have heat. The bottom doesn't work, but the back does. So, Chin Chin. So I don't know how long I'm going to be able to sit. The last couple of days, I've only been able to sit 3 hours. But because I can recline like I'm doing right now in this chair, the pressure is not directly on my hips and tailbone and pain where the pain is. So I'm out of bed. I shaved. I did a couple of dishes. I fed Gracie and I put stuff in the crock pot for supper and I'm done. Then I took my Robaxisset because again, you don't want to take painkillers and then get a whole bunch of stuff done because you're not sure how much pain you're in. Don't do that. Do what you can and then take the painkillers, but don't push it. How's everybody doing today? Hey, Linda. Gracie has been a very, very good nurse. Howie came in the morning. Again, this has been the routine. He came in, he put her out, he fed her, and she eats 2 cans of dog food now. She's starting to, she's starting to fill out a little bit, if not, like, she's not going to be a chubby puppy anymore, right? She's always going to be thin. But at 11 and a half years old, Candy, it's painkillers. Oh, she's a very good baby. She's a very good nurse. She sleeps up against my lower spine. Normally, she sleeps up against my bum, like, in behind my knees and my bum, that little curl place. But she's been curling up against my lower back, so she knows. If only by watching the way I walk. But the cool thing is that Gracie and I understand each other because of our pain. We've both been through a lot of pain lately. And it's led me to thinking, hang on, I'm going to try and put my hair up. It's led me to thinking, I don't know what I was thinking. The pain shot it right out of my head. Exactly. She does. Exactly, Linda. And I gave myself a little sponge bath because I can't get in and out of the shower right now. And even though I had a shower on Saturday, it's not been easy. So to get in and out of the tub would not be I'm hoping, what's today, Wednesday? I'm hoping tomorrow I will be able to have a shower, but with Howie there to supervise, because I can get in and out of the bathtub with the stationary walker, just not today. What I have done today is all I got. It's all I have now. So I'm going to sit here and do some sewing and watch some TV. And I often wonder, like, I've been wondering, first it was my knees, right? Yeah, Howie has to be here. Absolutely. I would love to be able to get one of those walk-in showers. Oh, no, not me. One of those walk-in tubs? No. It would be too much. It's too much water for a low well like ours is, right? But it's been a year, eh? Easter weekend, my severe constipation. Before that, or after that, it was my knees. I had to get shots in my knees because I couldn't walk. And now it's my back. And I wonder what God's trying to tell me. Is he telling me to slow down? Is he telling me it's okay to give up the garden? Oh, I can't take baths. I can't take baths. and I can't get down up and down out of the tub. My knees won't let me. As a matter of fact, we had a nice soaker deep tub, and Howie replaced it with a very shallow, almost as shallow as you can get tub, so that I could get my legs over it. No, I don't think it's my knees, Candy, because my knees, the shots have begun to wear off, but my knees are doing fine. Oh, and here's another thing. The doctor prescribed me some cream, and it is specially formulated for me. So I had to pay for it in advance. It was $80 plus tax. If there was tax on it, I don't know. But it was $80 for 30 days worth of this cream in a pump. And it's only good for 30 days, but I keep it in the fridge so it'll last longer. And last night, I gooped my back with it because it's got lidocaine in it. I don't know what's in it, but I know lidocaine's in it. And so when I got up to go to the bathroom the last time before going, shutting everything down, I just gooped my back with this stuff and my knees. And it seems to have helped, but I'll have to wait until I get up again to do it. I see, this is the way I'm doing things. Figure out exactly what I want to do and then do it in the least possible steps. Take my pain meds and rest. So now I'm trying to figure out what I got to do next after I've sat in here for a bit. I've got to do another load of dishes, even if it means sitting on my walker seat, which isn't comfortable. Who's nurse? Hey, nurse. So what I'm going to do next is the next time I get up to go to the bathroom. Oh, yeah, I'm dressed, by the way. That took me a half an hour just to get I had to sit on the toilet. And because again, I'm conserving energy. So while I'm doing my business, I'm putting on I put my clothes on my walker, walked into the bathroom, sat down to do my business. And then I put my underwear on and my skirt on and my bra on and my shirt on while I was doing my business. And then when I was done, I cleaned up and I also had a little sponge bath before I got my clothes on. So I stood at the sink, I had a little sponge bath, I shaved, I brushed my teeth, I sat down, did my business, got dressed. That was a lot. Just getting dressed took a half an hour. It was 40 minutes. I spent 40 minutes in the bathroom. So when I came out, I reached, thank God I had some hamburger in the fridge freezer. I know, darling, but you know what? I'm glad that you wish you could take care of me, but the reality is this is my life right now. And if I can't look after myself when Howie's not home, I'm screwed. So I have to be patient with myself and do what I got to do with breaks in between, right? Oh, well, I want to get some of that Kindnesology tape or whatever, how you pronounce that, so I don't sound like an idiot. I got to get some for my knees. I definitely going to get some for my knees. I do not want to get another shot in my knees because what happens is you can only have 3 sets of cortisone shots, apparently. Correct me if I'm wrong, nurse, before the cortisone actually does more damage to your knee. Right? Because you're using your knees as if they were good again, and it's not healthy for it. So apparently you're only allowed 3 sets of shots. This would be my second shot in my left knee that I had. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to sew on my stars, and I would have done it live with you guys, except it would have been, it was too much to think about bringing out the laptop and cut off after 3 unless you're not a candidate for surgery. which is really sad. I don't know if I'm going to be a candidate for surgery or not. So my next steps are, before I'm going to tell you my next steps before we get into any kind of conversation. The next steps are, when I get up again to go to the bathroom, I'm going to chop the meat in the crock pot and dump the sauce in. I think it's 3. I don't know. I don't know, but I'm not even going to bother getting shots again. I'm going to try and get some of that some of those tapes for my knees. Some of those tapes for my knees. And so this is Sunday or Monday night. Howie made me bologna sandwiches, God love them, and fruit. Last night he brought home shawarmas. He brought me a 6-inch shawarma, which it took me half an hour to eat because I have no chewing teeth anymore. But shawarma is the only takeout I'll eat anymore, right? And so tonight, and he's been making his own lunch, right? And tonight, all he has to do is boil noodles. So I've helped to a certain degree. So when I get up again, I'll smash the hamburger up and put the sauce on it, have a pee, and come back and sit down. Maybe wash a couple of dishes or put a couple of dishes away. That's my limit. I am not pushing myself. I am not martyring my back because, getting old really sucks, eh? And it feels like it comes down on you all at once, right? I'm not that old. I'm just glad I watered my houseplants before my back went. Kinesiology. Kinesiology? Mommy baby. Oh, yes. So that's what's going on. I don't know how long I can stay in the chair. I'm gonna try. If I have to, I will lay back down for a couple of hours because this is actually pretty good right now because I'm leaned back. I'm not putting weight directly down onto my hips and tailbone and lower spine, and it's on the right side. I can feel it now. It's just to the right of the spine. So, yeah, I'm really sorry, folks. I'm not capable of doing anything. Maybe tomorrow, I'll be able to, or maybe when I get up again, I'll be able to get my book and sit down and read to the reading channel. I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue to work as hard as I have been working. Oh, that's a good idea. Would it work if I put it in a plastic bag? I actually have a heating pad downstairs that I'm going to ask Howie to bring up. And because this chair, the heat is mostly in the upper back, and I need it on my lower back. And the seat heat is busted. So, here I sit, brokenhearted, paid a dime, and oh yeah, that's an old one. Does anybody old enough to even remember what that joke was about? Here I sit, brokenhearted, paid a dime and only farted. Next time I'll take a chance, save a dime and poop my pants. I'm still recovering from doing I didn't even do a sink load, but the dishes haven't been done in days. In like 3 days, right? So we've been eating off of like paper towels and stuff. Thank you, Julie. Julie Johnson McGee. How are you? I haven't seen you in a long time. Moist heat is better than dry. So yes, a wet towel in a plastic bag will work. Moist heat goes deeper in the muscle than dry. Well, there you go. Anyway, God, I still haven't even got the groceries put away. Well, I got the groceries put away, but I still have to put away the paper towel and stuff. But God bless my husband because he's gone 12 hours a day. I went binge watching your older videos. There's so many fantastic videos. Why post some throwback videos? Because I'd have to sit down at the desk, honey. And I can't sit down at the desk. The last time I sat down at the desk and I stood up is when this all started. Right? It's when I stood up and my bladder emptied because I couldn't move and the pain was immediate. And I have sat on my desk chair once since, but that was because I got to the end of the bed and didn't have my walker handy. So I sat down on the desk chair and I went, oh, no, 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 no. Still gardening, still crafting, taking a few days off, all but work due wrist. What? Due to wrist thumb tendon pain. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. That's sad. But you know what? I totally understand. This is, remember me telling you about fibromyalgia and not pushing through the pain? Okay? This isn't fibro. This is damage. And if I push through the pain, okay, I'm only going to damage it further. You have to think of these things when you hurt yourself, okay? So please, soak your wrist and your thumb and your tendon in warm Epsom salt water, like the nurse said, and maybe, wrap it up. But the truth is, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to garden next year. Right? I go through these crises emotionally and mentally when I get hurt because I have panic attacks thinking I'm not going to be able to do the things I need to do. Happy hump day, honey. Well, I'm a little bit better. I'm a little bit better. I still can't sit at my desk. And I am going to have to, when I put the sauce in, I'm going to have to lay down for a little while so that when I get up again for supper, I'll be able to sit in the chair and watch TV with Howie for a while. But I mean, he came in here at 5:30 this morning, put the dog out, fed her, watered her, went to work, and now he's going to come home and dish up dinner. Poor baby. The poor baby. But I watched this thing on Facebook, or not on Facebook, on TikTok today that was asking all these questions about your relationship. And these were younger women who had been together. Okay, do you behave differently for him than you do yourself? And all these things. And I was really happy to go through these 6 questions and know that my husband is the most amazing husband I could have ever asked for. And if I had $1 billion million, okay, if I had $1 trillion and everything was at my fingertips, would I still marry him today? Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not because he looks after me. It's because he loves me. And we look after each other, right? So I suppose I could do it, but I don't want to sit forward too much. I've got a couple of stars done for the quilt. I have not been able to sit down and work on Mikey's quilt or Briar's quilt. And I'm thinking God's trying to tell me something. I have severe chronic pain. I go many days sitting in a chair because all my bones and my body and muscles feels like they're broken. That sounds like fibro. I'm 71, just got up and said, oh dear. The mentally I thought, bread and beer, if I was single, I wouldn't be here. Getting older isn't for sissies. Hey, you said a mouthful there. You said a mouthful there. But the only reason I'm trying to do is because Howie works so hard. And he works so hard. Hi, Corey. Hey, Jazzy, he works so hard that he shouldn't have to come home and look after me, right? So today is day 3, and I'm doing stuff, but very like last night I was sitting here and I said to Howie, I said I should be out there picking beans and tomatoes. He said, "Oh no, you shouldn't. No, no, no." He said, "Bev, you can't even like when it first happened, I had the stationary walker because my wheelie one was outside. And to walk with it, it doesn't have tennis balls on the feet, so you can't slide it. So I'd have to take a step and lift and lift. And just the lifting of it to take a step was agony, right? So he brought my wheelie walker in. Hey, Alicia, I'm late today. I'll go back to watch from the beginning later. I am on the mend. I just have to listen to my body because at this point in my life, I know what will happen if I don't just let myself heal, right? I know what'll happen. I'll be in the hospital and the ambulance takes you to the Wakefield Hospital. And we know how I feel about emergency situations and the Wakefield Hospital, right? So, oh my gosh. Yeah, that was my belly hanging out. Your mommy baby. She is. You're right there. She's no more than 3 feet away from me at any time. Except when she's outside. Hey, Best Life. Yeah, well, here's another thing. Remember us talking about what's coming down out of the sky and how it may be affecting our gardens and our water and our soil? Hey, Jaton, how are you, darling? Well, we haven't been able to get our pool water clear. We've done all the right things with the algicide, the algicide, the pH levels, everything. Hi, Jack. How are you, darling? And the pool's still cloudy and greenish. I don't know what's wrong, but all I know is we've spent a small fortune on things like algicide and stuff, and it's not cleared up. Well, thank you, Karen. That's a very nice thing to say. Anyway, I watch a lot of TikToks and stuff. Thank you, Jaton. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It is a connective tissue disorder plus severe arthritis and stenosis in my back and neck, which pinches the spinal cord and nerves. My God. Really? Then I shouldn't complain. I'm sure. Oh, God love you. Take care, Julia, and come back when you can, okay? So everything has to wait. Everything has to wait. My canning of my tomatoes has to wait. I haven't been able to go to the farmer's market. I won't be able to go till next weekend, and everything's probably going to be done. It feels like we've hardly had any summer at all. Every Wednesday I go to Foodland because meat is put on 50% off. Every week is different. Today I got a big family packs of boneless chicken, lean ground beef, and pork. This is Canada, isn't it? Foodland Canada? Well, I'm still waiting for my disability rebate back payment. It's been New Brunswick, that's right. The bread and beer is a saying my great grandmother used to say. What does it stand for? Because I heard someone say Bob's your uncle the other day, and I just started laughing because I used to say that all the time until people started teasing me about it. So I stopped saying Bob's your uncle. They're in the freezer. They're in the freezer. So is the zucchini. So I said to Howie last night, I said, when you come in to feed Gracie, can you bring in some chicken legs and throw them in the freezer? Or throw them in the fridge, and I'll make dinner when I get home. And either he forgot or he doesn't want me lifting the Dutch oven into the oven because they weren't, right? I'm amazed at how much you get done in your condition. Well, sweetheart, what else am I going to do? Okay? I've seen what happens when people give up and go to bed and stay there. Okay? You eventually die there. Like my brother Bob. Right? So giving into it, there's a fine line between giving into it and working with it without damaging yourself further. Exactly, Linda. A little bit at a time. You got to do what you got to do. You sure Howie's dad wouldn't have jumped the fence in New Brunswick? I can't stop thinking of that guy I saw at Walmart. It was Howie's twin. Do you know how many times I've seen Briar's twin in Walmart? I'll never forget. I got to tell you this. We were in Walmart one day, and we don't go to Walmart anymore unless I can get a cashier. But I went to Walmart to buy my dress for that wedding in July. But Briar and I were in Walmart one day, and we're going, we go off on our own directions. I go looking for my stuff. He goes looking for his stuff. And we play Marco Polo to figure out where everybody is, where each other are. But I'm walking down an aisle where the aisles are going this way, and I'm walking along the ends of the aisles. And as I'm passing the aisles I don't want to go into, I see a guy with a shot. I see a guy in a hoodie with a beard and glasses and his hair in a ponytail. And I swore to God it was Briar. I swore it was Briar. And finally I went, Briar, when I saw him again, and the guy didn't turn. And I heard from behind me, what? And I went, holy shit. And he goes, what? I said, come with me. And I took my cart and I went down the aisle and I followed the people. There was a couple, but she was ahead of him, and I only saw him. And I walked up to him and I went, oh my God. And he said, what? I said, if you think I've been following you around the store, it's because I thought you were him. And they looked at each other and they started to laugh and went, apparently everybody has a doppelganger. Excuse me a minute. I am completely out of my herbal medicine. I have enough to roll, I think, one more double. And I have to sit down at my desk to do that, so I'm not going to. But I have this that I bought. I'm watching you milk goats and Howie ripping out the bathroom wall in his boxers while barefoot. And all I could think of is I wish I could have had that kind of love. Well, we're paying for it. So please, do I have my fan here? Yes, I do. Give me a second here, folks. Coughing hurts, but I have no choice at the moment. Sorry about that. Does that help? Because I may need to do that. Well, I don't have any gummies, honey. I don't have any gummies. I don't have any edibles left. I don't have. And ow. Ow. And the reason being, prescription through a state doctor, an appointment, $299. What a bunch of horse shit. See, that's the problem, okay? There are so many things that hemp and marijuana can do in our world. Hemp can completely replace the cotton industry. And I've talked about this before. Oh, happy anniversary, honey. It took us 6 months to a year to get me legalized before it became legal in Canada. To get me legalized, and Howie was my legal grower, and because I couldn't do it myself, right? I can start the plants, but then they go out in the greenhouse and Howie looks after them. Haven't even walked into the greenhouse to see how they're doing. This year we had to get clones because my seeds didn't take. Once again, my seeds didn't take, and that was with bagged, bought dirt. Well, 50th wedding anniversary. Okay, what's the S for? Is it Susan, Sharon? Because I've been sewing some of your pieces that say S. Bender on them. But anyway, I talked to Happy Smiles Dental in Ottawa today. And there's units with electrodes placed on your pain area and block the pain from the brain. Well, I don't necessarily want to block the pain either. I can't take pain meds because my body can't take it. I can't smoke marijuana because I'm allergic, so I'm stuck having to endure oh, baby. Well, I won't say I'll never complain again because we will, but oh, wow, your 21st anniversary. Howie and I celebrated our 32nd wedding anniversary on July 31st. But on July 4th, we celebrated our handfast anniversary, which is not engaging. It's not an engagement, okay? It's where you promise that you're going to get married, but you're going to live together first. And we lived together 3 years before we said, okay, the handfast has worked. We're going to get married. So that would have been 35 years on July 4th. But I talked to Warm Smiles Dental Clinic in Ottawa because that's where my friends, remember Alex the Good Son? His sister she's actually on a commercial. If you look up Warm Smiles Dental in Ottawa, and you see they show Michaela as a case subject. Michaela is Alex's younger sister. And so they finally got a hold of me today, and I said, okay, this is what's going on. I can't do implants because I'm losing bone loss in my jaw. Do you do dentures? Unfortunately, we do only implants. So it's like, well, I tried. TENS unit helps. I get it at therapy, but you can get units for at home. Really? Huh. Cool. It's really, really hard for me not to try and get out into the garden. But just getting into this chair, just getting dressed, just starting dinner, and doing dishes is all I've gotten done. For 2 years, a lifesaver. When I do my canning, I set myself up in the living room. I do all the preparation, putting together. I do like when I'm cutting beans and stuff, but Howie built that island for me so that islands are normally much higher, but he built that specifically for me so that I could sit down to work at the island. And that I could, when I was draining the broth, I could put a pot on a chair and it was easier for me, TENS unit. I'll have to look that up. How are you, Lisa? So yeah, it's going to be a while before I'm up and buzzing, but on Life with the Wolfies, we're going to be canning our tomatoes and our zucchini. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do for beans. But did I tell you I ordered a new dehydrator? Holy crap. The first time I bought a Nesco, it was $59. I just paid $150 on Wayfair, but that was $25 delivery plus HST. And the reason, now I've burned through, are you in hospice or just relaxing in bed? Hi from Canada. Or just a little unwell like the song. Sad we lost one of our cats last year. Oh, Lisa, I'm so sorry. I wonder, why we've been going through everything we've gone through in the last 2 years. My brother Bob dying, okay? Family disowning me because of my views on things. Take care, Jaton. I love you, sweetheart. And then Nan dying, and Gracie almost dying, then Nan dying, then bringing Gracie back to health, and now this. And I'm really sorry. Our pets, I don't know anybody else, but our pets are like service animals. They're more than service animals. Oh my God, she's so cute. Her little paw. Yeah, my house is a mess. Look at her little paw on her face. My goodness. Our pets, if you're anything like me, our pets are not just pets. They're children, then they're partners, and then they're caretakers, because they age so much faster than us. And you look at them, and Gracie and I have perfect communication. Absolute perfect communication, right? And you know why? She's now older than me. She's 7 or 10 and a half years old. And in dog years for a boxer, she's like 75, 80 years old, right? For a boxer. But the thing is they do it all without words and without hands, And if you think about it, if you bring home a puppy, by the time that puppy, if you're lucky enough to have it live a long and healthy and loving life, that puppy goes from being your baby to being your mom, okay, in their lifetime. And we are their lives. We are their family for their whole lives. And I don't understand how people will dump senior dogs in shelters because they're moving or because they can't handle them anymore, right? It breaks my heart, because it's not even dumping them in a nursing home. It's dumping them into a crate. And we are their whole life, right? So when people were telling me, oh, she's suffering, put her down, I say, you don't know dick about my dog like I do, okay? My dog will tell me when she's ready to go to the Rainbow Bridge. Our Lhasa Apso lived 17. Most small dogs, we wandered around for months in grief losing her. I know. No, it's not sciatica, Claire. Hi, Claire. It's not sciatica. It's not sciatica. It's some kind of pulled muscle or a pinched nerve or something, but it's not. I'm happy to say I don't feel any swelling, so there's no like I felt down my spine and I don't feel any bulges or any. It's not painful to touch. And it's now that I'm doing a little bit better, the pain is to the right of my lower spine. So that's how that's going. But people saying put her down. She's blah blah blah. It's no. We ask her, "Are you ready?" Once Howie put his hand over her face, right? And she pulled her head away, which means, no, I'm not ready to go. That's our language, right? It is very painful. It is very painful, but I'm grateful to be sitting in my chair. Baby steps, right? I'm like, up until last night, or up until today, I could only do 3 hours in this chair on Monday and Tuesday. And that's when Howie gets home. I've spent all day in bed so that when Howie gets home, I can sit up, at least partially reclined. So I'm not putting direct pressure on my spine. But today, I think I'm going to be okay enough that when I get up to chop the hamburger in the crock pot and add the sauce, I'll turn it down and then I'll go lay down in bed. I'll go lay down in bed until Howie gets home. And that way I can get up again and spend some time with him. Oh, Bandit, I'm so sorry to hear that. 30 years ago today, I got married. And you lost your house. Oh, baby. I'm so sorry to hear that. I said to Howie, I look at Howie and I don't know how I would survive without him. I honestly don't. Now, we've been watching this show, The Last of Us, and I've really been loving it. It's not just a zombie thing, it's just another zombie show. But they're showing how people deal and how people change and how people build relationships and how we struggle as society or as humans to live life even under the most bizarre and dangerous circumstances. Like there's this gay couple, right? And well, they're not a couple yet. The guy's a survivalist and he's got this whole, once he hid until the evacuation came. He hid until they left. And then he built a perimeter around his little town, this small area of his town. And he had everything, right? And one day someone fell into one of his traps and it turns out it was a man and he brought him in and fed him. He wasn't going to, right? Because he said, if I feed you and I let you go, everybody you tell is going to end up here. And I don't have that kind of wherewithal. So self-sustainability. So anyway, he let him come in, and when they had dinner, you could tell that, you know what? These guys are both gay. But it's very, 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 very subtle. And they didn't make a big deal out of the love making and the kissing and all that stuff. Because I have no problem. I have no problem, right? Even with public displays of affection. But I don't even watch, when there's love scenes on TV, with regular people, I don't watch them. You can't start over again with someone else. At 61, you can't start over again with someone else. So it's just me and my granddaughter and my animals. Now I truly appreciate everything you're saying. Yeah. I say a prayer every day when Howie goes to work. I say a prayer every day. God, bring him home safe. This house, I could not live in this house without him. I could if I had a stair lift for the basement. And if I had like a PSW or something coming in to help me. But in all honesty, Joanne, what's the material, honey? Is it for the star quilt? Give me a second. Let me lean forward here. This is going to take me a second. Is it for the star quilt? I got to get this stuff over to me. And you know what? I can't lean forward to get it right now. I just can't. That was enough just sitting up. I have a grabber in the pantry. It's a thing with a handle and grabbers on the end. When I get up again, I'm going to go get it. That was not good. What's it look like, Joanne? Because I probably have. I've been working with everybody's fabric, right? I just haven't been able to do it on live stream. Hubby will be 80 next week. We are a team. We compensate each other's deficits. Exactly. Is it Sharon? I don't think I have a bulging disc. I think I have a pinched nerve on one side of my back. Well, what was the pattern, Joe? What was the pattern? So I ordered another Nesco, and here's why. I love my London Sunshine dehydrator, but it's only good for 6 trays. And I thought about Susan. Thank you, Linda. I thought about what I had to do, and I thought that, carrots are coming. And I'm not canning carrots this year. I'm dehydrating them all. I'm going to blanch and freeze some. But you need a professional to train you to use it. Just do the splits and voila. I picked up something off the floor today for the first time in 3 days, guys. Do the splits. That's so funny. Yes. As a matter of fact, I can reach this. I actually have made a star, and I also used it to show people how you can paper piece. You can paper piece this pattern. It's easier for you to do this in a paper piece format than it is to do it the way I do it. So that's it, isn't it, Joanne? That's the fabric. Yes, I already have a star made out of it. But I have to, if I keep touching, if the phone keeps wiggling, it's because I have to keep scrolling because the chat disappears. Oh, where to place the electrodes. God, that reminds me. Do you know how many people have passed away in my life since I've been on YouTube? I mean, do you remember when we were down in Ohio at John's? And Miss Moving On 04, Gloria, and Lady B, and we had a nice big beef dinner and all that. Lady B and Glow are both gone. Lady B died of COVID. She was found unresponsive on her floor. This happened a couple of years ago, so I can talk about it now without crying. And Gloria died of a rare blood cancer that they had to keep giving her transfusions because her blood would get too thick to pump. And I said, and this was her 4th bout of cancer. And they were all different kinds, which is rare, right? This was before COVID, guys. And I said, and she told me that there were chemical plants or something that was not that far from her home, right? Like I look at people in Apsley, Ontario that live along Eels Creek. Eels Creek comes out of Eels Lake, farther north, and it gets run into from much farther north, rivers go into it, much farther north, there used to be a uranium mine. Okay. And people got cancer like you wouldn't believe. I have a friend whose son got testicular cancer when he was a teen. Then, then her elder brother got kidney cancer. And then her mom had a stroke, so her mom and dad came to live with her because her dad couldn't look after her mom. And her mom passed away, and then her dad got cancer. Now, how many people in your family have to die of cancer before you start thinking the water and the soil's poison? Right? You know, and I know they look at it like, well, because they live right on the creek. We lived right on the creek. My dad got prostate cancer. Right? I can still put my palms flat on the floor. Do you know that? But my knees. Oh, I got to get more grabbers. But anyway, I think because things don't happen necessarily gradually, but because things happen in such a way that we just get over one shock and we accept it as part of the norm, then something else comes along. I don't think I have a darker purple, baby. I don't think I have a darker purple with polka dots, but I will check. I will check. But I mean, you know, these people water their gardens with creek water to save on their well. When are we going to start realizing that even before the trails in the sky started happening, you know, I mean, they used to dump. I mean, I lived on Lake Ontario in the industrial district of Toronto, the blue-collar industrial district of Toronto. And that's where I got heavy metal issues. And they used to just dump everything into the lake. They used to just dump all their sewage and waste into the lake. And it wasn't until the 70s that they started cleaning that up. And like 1979 or 1970, 71. And they were doing test drilling, like they would drill down through the soil back from the lakeshore. And they found it just so completely polluted with heavy metals and chemicals that they went, wow, this is really bad. So they went back farther into the city and it was still happening. And here's the problem. My school was 2 city blocks from the waterfront. And our playground was concrete. And when they started doing all these tests, they were releasing all of these toxins. They were bringing them to the surface. So they tried to do a cleanup, which means, you know, you sent it in a Christmas card. Honey, I can't look right now. But I'm sure I have it. All of the fabric I have from you guys is right here. I just can't reach it right now. Okay. So one day that we all had to take a finger prick at school and they tested our blood, and I tested 10 times higher heavy metals in my blood. And here's the thing. When heavy metals show up in your blood, it's because you are in constant exposure. Is the nurse still here? Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay? If it's showing up in your blood, it's because you're under constant exposure. And I showed up with 10 times the acceptance. Not every kid did. Me and my cousin Robert did. And It wasn't, because what they had to do is they tried to sanitize it, and when they started cleaning it up, it put all the shit into the air, and it poisoned a lot of people. But because it didn't happen, husband died in the hospital with COVID. Did the hospital? Yep, because of the way they were treated, the medication they used, and the equipment they used. Did more to, if you survived remdesivir an event, you were one of the few. I ate too much dirt as a kid. You know what? I'm telling you, I used to pick tar out of the cracks between the sidewalks and chew on it. I love tar. I don't know why. Okay. Hey, Wendy. Any way to get away from chemicals? So, well, the farther you go into the country, the better. But they're now they're raining down from the skies, right? Thank you, Joe. I will look. I know I have some purple. I have dark purple with dark roses on it that you can't really look unless you hold it back. I think it depends on the metal. Mine was lead. The biggest one that showed up was lead. And my brother Bob and I were the youngest in the family. Bob was born in 61. I was born in 64. My other siblings were born in 53, 55, 53, and 50. Okay. If you are that flexible, you should look up Ehlers-Danlos hypermobile. What does that mean? So, they didn't know then that was one of the reasons why I ended up developing ADHD. That's what they would have called it. They didn't know how to really diagnose it back then, right? But I was having wild mood swings, and I couldn't focus, and all of these things, right? That followed me through my life. But out of us 5 kids, Bob and I were still going to that school when that cleanup was going on. And Bob and I both, yes, we're all of us in my family are ill. I have my brother, the middle brother, is probably the healthiest of us all, but he works at it really hard with food and nutrients and clean living and all that stuff, right? But I mean, that there's been cancer and all kinds of stuff, but Bob and I are the ones who suffered with all the soft tissue, cartilage, and bone damage that heavy metals does when it's running through your system on a regular basis when it's not supposed to be, right? And so we got hit the worst. We were the youngest in the family, but we have the most health problems, right? And the only reason I'm still functioning is because Dad moved us to the country, and Howie and I have lived most of our married life in the country. Yes, we lived in the city for a little bit in Elmer, Quebec, but we've lived in the country most of our marriage. We moved to the country out of Peterborough when I was 9 months pregnant with Briar. You can rid your body of heavy metals, but it takes hard work and determination. Oh, I know. But the best... Hi, Laura Sop. That's okay, sweetheart. The best I can do right now is work within my body's limitations. I push myself to the edge, but not past. A lot of my high school classmates have all kinds of illnesses. We all think it was when they were remodeling the inside of the school. Oh my gosh. They initiated him. They intubated him unnecessarily. Oh yeah. They took kickbacks for how many COVIDs, for how many times they diagnosed COVID. Right? But I can't give up, folks, because it's like when someone said, "Oh, you should be on disability." I never made enough money, because a lot of my work, I didn't work steadily throughout our marriage. I worked off and on. Things would get tight. I would pull the kids once the kids were in schools, I would go out and do cleaning jobs for cash. I had a few jobs that paid paychecks, but most of my jobs were cash, right? So I wouldn't, and I make as much now as I would as if I was on disability. And so that I wouldn't qualify. But even if I did apply, it would mean to me up here that I would have to accept that I'm disabled. And I refuse to accept that I am disabled. I'm not disabled. I'm just worn out and I'm worn down. And and every time something goes wrong with my body, I just have to learn to work around it. But work I will. Why? Because if I stop, I'm going to die. I will. I will have to give up on life, and I refuse to give up on life. So I have learned not to push past the pain. I have learned to work with the pain. And Howie is always doing things like the low stainless steel covered island, like the wide and deep steps for my walker out front, like the metal posts in the handrail of my pool, like raising my pool stairs, like building me a ramp for the motorhome. I mean, if you stop and give up, it's just you're just waiting for death. The only way I can survive on disability is because I get second check from work insurance, term disability. Well, the thing is that that's what happened that one day when I was on a live stream. And someone came in, I think it was Paula. I'm not sure, but I don't know the whole name. And she asked me, this was back in the winter, did I get my disability rebate check? And I said, I'm not on disability. She said, you don't have to be. And I went, what? And so she explained it to me that people who are functionally disabled can apply for a disability rebate that comes once a year. I think it's like $1,000 or $1,500. It comes once a year. And it helps you with things like if you need a new walker or this or that or whatever the case may be, right? I am going to say so long for now to you and everyone. Hugs. Take care, Joe. Take care. God bless, honey. Hey, Michelle. So she explained to me that I qualified in every way. So because I cannot, I have a hard time navigating websites that are deliberately complex, and tax sites are deliberately complex. Revenue Quebec is all in French. And then you make it English, but then when you have to leave the page, the next page you go to is in French and there's no English option and all these kinds of things. And Revenue Canada, I didn't even know how to get in. That's a difficult transition. I had to give in and go on disability in 2018. It was hard because I felt like I was being put out to pasture. I'm fortunate that my husband works and I don't need to. Memshows, me too. I'm really lucky that, but you see, Howie's already had one heart attack, right? I don't, and I love where he works now because his boss is really understanding. Howie's one of the best workers they've got, right? Howie's a real true, hardworking, educated body man. Okay. It's his trade and he knows it well. He can do BMWs. He can work with carbon fiber vehicles and all that stuff, Mercedes and stuff. If you buy a secondhand BMW and you take it to a regular mechanic and they work on it, or a body shop and they work on it, you've wrecked your car, because they don't really, they can't treat them the same way they do regular cars because they're made differently, right? So anyway, I asked her, could you give me the link, like email me the link that I need to go to that takes me straight to that thing? And she gave me the link, and I had spent a half a day trying to get through to Revenue Canada to set up my online CRA account, right? Where you can go in and check your taxes and stuff. It took me half a day. They don't make it easy. And then I was approved, but I had to get my doctor to fill out all the paperwork. So my nurse practitioner filled out all the paperwork. Howie went with me. And because Howie, like I have the bad habit of saying, yes, I can do something without actually thinking about it. Right? And this was something I learned when I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I had taken Tylenol before I went. And he said, why? I said, because you're going to poke me and hit my trigger spots, and I'm going to be in bed for a week. He said, we don't do that anymore. This was in 2012. He said, we don't do that anymore. He said, because it does send people into flare-ups that cause a lot of pain. I said, well, how do you diagnose me? I get that his has had open heart surgery in 2018. He had both knees replaced, 2023, and his shoulder in 2024. Wow. Talk about a bionic man. So, then we went to the doctor, and the doctor said, well, I don't have to even look at your x-rays to know that you have severe arthritis in your knees, because we know that's happening, right? That's when I brought up, why haven't you offered me shots and stuff for my knees? And we can do that. It's like they don't think to offer assistance. They just basically diagnose. That's okay, sweetheart. My cousin Mary Jane calls me babe all the time. And she says, ciao, Bella. Anyway, so when we went to the doctors, Howie actually, it was a really good thing he was there, because she said, yeah, your knees are pooched. And I said, I said, I walk like a peg leg pirate with two pegs. And she looked at me, and Howie said, she walks like a penguin. And she went, gotcha. Because my knees weren't working. So we went through everything. My severe arthritis, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, bone loss in my mouth. That was a heavy metal thing. Bone loss. And all the things Howie does for me to keep me functioning. The pool steps being raised, and all of these things. And apparently I almost overqualify, because this is how it goes. I should be on disability, but because of YouTube, I make like $1,000 a month right now. And that is considered income enough that I can't get disability. But I can get the disability rebate, and it's for disabled people, or people who should be on disability, but somehow still manage to function enough to earn a living or earn money. So that's where I'm at. So I got a letter from the government in May, because I had done the thing, and then I sent all the information to my accountant. Because I'm self-employed, I don't know how to do the taxes, so he does them for me. I've never even met my accountant. We just operate through mail and email. He was suggested from a friend, and he's a great accountant. So then he had to do all my taxes. Woke up one morning and said, I have two choices: get up and live, or stay in bed and rot. So I stopped wasting time on all the things I could no longer do and started focusing on the things I could. Exactly. I can't shovel soil anymore. You've seen me with the buckets and the walker. I may not even be able to do that anymore. I don't know. I'm currently on 24/7 IV infusion and I'm getting injections for my advanced osteoporosis once a month. It's a 12-month. Really? Hey, Phoebe. That's awesome. Is that awesome that you're getting treatment? Because treatment's good, right? So my accountant sent it away, sent all my taxes away, e-filed them like we pay them, and then he e-files everything. And now I've gotten my statement of account or whatever they call it from Revenue Quebec. And they have also qualified me for the disability tax rebate. And my accountant says they're not as generous as Revenue Canada, but you'll get something from them. They also qualified Howie as my caregiver. So he gets a check, going to get a check once a year. Because, he has to look after me. This is the way our life is right now, right? He doesn't have to look after me, but I mean, he does. Pool stairs, front stairs, ramp for the motor home, raised garden beds. You feel me? So we're still waiting. That was in May. We're still waiting. June, July, August. It's been 3 months. And I didn't call because I've never even spoke to him. I emailed my accountant and said, how long does this take? And they said, well, they've got to go back through your taxes because Revenue Canada, Revenue Quebec said they approved me for going back 12 years. And Revenue Canada approved me back 12 years, but they only reimburse you 10 years back. So I have no idea what's coming. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for those checks to come in the mail because I need to get my teeth done. Right? I need a stair lift for the basement. If anything happens to Howie, or he's gone for an entire weekend and something goes wrong, a breaker trips in the basement, or the power goes out and I need to reset shit in the utility room, I can't get down there unless I'm on my hands and feet. And the way my back is right now, I couldn't even do that. So I need a stair lift. I need new teeth. Anything after that's gravy. But I'm pretty sure the stair lift and the teeth are going to tap me out for everything that they send me. But then after that, once a year, Howie and I will both get a check. I'd save some of that. Once pension hits, you don't know what YouTube's future holds. No, YouTube is going down the tubes, folks. It's getting to the point where people don't want to watch it anymore because it is so heavily censored that people like Patera, we have to talk in code. We have to talk in code to get people to understand what we're talking about because it's so heavily censored. Okay? Instagram is heavily censored. Facebook is heavily censored. Oh, and by the way, Facebook and Instagram are both owned by Mark Zuckerberg, who is one of those billionaires who has an underground bunker that's well stocked. They're building them. Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey. When my mom was sick, I asked the government if I could somehow get some money for being her caregiver. They said yes, but I would have to hire someone and pay them instead. Well, if anything happened to Howard, the only thing I could do is ask Briar to move home. And he hates it out here. He hates it, right? But even he doesn't have a driver's license, right? So I would on censorship. Wait till social score system and digital system is put in motion. That's why I keep saying, folks, why I keep telling folks there may come a time when I have to remove my presence from the internet because Canada's not the Canada, the United States, if hey Nina, Canada's not the place. Hey Monet, is not the place it was 20 years ago. We've been in Quebec now for 22 years. And this country, we've been dealing with being Anglophones in Quebec. Okay, so a lot has escaped our notice. But the truth is, they tried to make hate speech, or they're trying to make hate speech a crime so that people can't, if you so much as say, you know what, you're wrong and you don't belong in this country or something. Like I watched this one guy on a video talk to a Muslim man who had moved to Canada. And he said, look, my family's lived here for 3 generations. So yeah, we came from immigrants. But when we came here, this country was built on certain values and it's a basic Christian country, right? And if you come to our country and you bring all the bullshit that you ran away from, if it made it bad in your country, so you bring it here and you think you're going to remake your Sharia law or whatever so that it works here, no, that's not going to be allowed. We're not going to take it. You want to be a Muslim? You want to be a Christian? You want to be a Jehovah's Witness? You want to be whatever you want to be? That's great. That's great. But don't think that it's your job to make everybody else that way. Judeo-Christian principles, yes, absolutely, right? And even though I am not a practicing Jew, Christian, Muslim, Jehovah's Witness, or anything like that, it doesn't mean I don't have a faith. And I don't shove it down anybody's throat. I don't care if Christ wasn't born on December 25th. I don't care if the Christmas tree came from Germany, from old pagan, bringing in the greens style pagan religions. I don't care. I like my Christmas tree. Why? Because I was raised with a Christmas tree. Okay? And it's beautiful and it's lovely and it's celebratory. Where it comes from makes no difference to me. Right? Like I know people in the Jehovah's Witness don't practice Christmases or birthdays because you're giving the honor to something else. Christmas is a lie. And if you celebrate your birthday, you're not celebrating God, you're celebrating yourself, and that's wrong. All of these things, right? You can practice all you want. You don't have to put up a Christmas tree. You don't have to put up Christmas lights, but you're not going to make me take mine down. Do you understand? So this is the way. Imagine if we all moved to their country. You think they would value us? Absolutely not. Right? So, but I mean, I'm not saying all Muslims are bad, because there's extremists in every religion, including Christianity. I mean, look at the KKK. They claim to be a Christian organization. Okay? So anybody can make any religion they want. You can take a perfectly wonderful, peaceful faith and you can militarize it. It's that easy. Hey, Teflon, how are you, darling? There are certain things we need to believe in to make a decent society. What was that? How did you say that? There are certain beliefs we need to agree on to make a civilized society. Yes. And what are those beliefs? Okay? That you respect and love your neighbor as you would your own self. Why? Because they deserve that. Doesn't mean you have to be their best friend. It just means you have to respect their right to be there and to live life as they see fit, right? I grant everybody the life to live as they see fit until it harms people, until it hurts people. You understand? Right? So the basic principle of living in Canada, okay, is live and let live. Pretty solid pain day. Yeah, that's why I'm in my chair. And this is my first time being in my chair during the day in 2 days. Well, right. As long as it's within the law. There's laws for a reason. Okay? But I mean, I watched a video of a man who they were, I guess, I don't know if they were Jewish, but they were holding a Sabbath celebration or whatever in their church. And the police came and tried to tell them that they were in an unlawful gathering. And he said, this is a gathering, a religious gathering, and you have no right to come in here and tell us that we cannot gather in prayer. And they were saying, well, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, no. And he chased them out of his church. And he called them the N word. And it's not the N-I word, it's the N-A-Z word. He said, you get out of my church. You're disrupting a peaceful prayer meeting. Get out. Because they worked really hard at separating families, at separating people from their religious gatherings, separating people from their holidays. I watch, like, this is one of the things, okay? And I'm getting to the point now where YouTube really doesn't give a crap about what you say if you're really careful. Yeah, in 2020, Donna, I believe, 2020, 2021, but that Christmas, New Year's Eve, I saw videos from New Year's Eve where in Gatineau, where my son Briar lives, 2 families that were family, okay? But they were family, like, say my brother and his family came. And they celebrated New Year's Eve in the same house. And they were dragged out by the police, kicking and screaming. Because they were gathering 2 households in one. And they were dragged out by the police. I am going to, you know what I think I need to do? I think I need to write a book. I've been thinking about writing a book my whole life. And I think I'm going to write a book about what it was like to be me from 1964 until now. Yeah. So the law was given extra powers of persuasion. That's why we had roadblocks right on my highway. Go up to the end of my road, right where our favorite restaurant used to be, which is now an information center. They tore it down. But there was roadblocks. And Howie had to go through them 4 times a day. Because he works in Ottawa, which is another province. So you'd have to go through the local blockade here on our highway. And then he would get to the Ottawa bridge and he would say, I'm an essential worker, and they'd have to let him through. But he had to go through that 4 times a day. Right? I actually recorded the conversation I had with the police when I went back through the blockade to come home. And I told them exactly what I thought. That they couldn't tell me that I had to quarantine. That they couldn't tell me where to shop. That they couldn't tell me who I could and couldn't have in my home. That I was not a prisoner. That I had rights. And I don't care what the police said. You can't stop me. Right? Because when I went through the blockade, I stopped and it was an older cop. And my sister was living here. You remember that. She was staying with us during the worst of it. And it was Briar was still working at Brennan's Hill, which is, here's the end of our road, the stop sign. here's where the police were, and here's Brennan's Hill. So Briar was working at the store, and he phoned me and he said, Mom, there's police checkpoints on the highway. And I went, what? Yeah, exactly, Linda. And I went, what? And he goes, yeah, there's police checkpoints out by Barbie Jr. And I went, oh, I got to see this, right? You know me, folks. Anytime my freedom is curtailed, I fight. So I went, and it was an older cop, gray hair, and he had a couple of young, I mean, they looked like 12, but they were probably in their early 20s. And I don't smoke. I was getting cigarettes for my sister. Anyway, because to buy them at the gas station, which was within my right to travel, they were going to cost a fortune. So I was going to Giant Tiger because I didn't know I could go farther north and buy cigarettes on the res. I didn't know that, right? But we ended up doing that later, right? But so they stopped me. And he said, where are you going? I said, Giant Tiger. And he goes, is it necessary? Oh, I said, Giant Tiger. And he said, is it necessary? And I looked at him and said, my sister's staying with me and she smokes. And I ain't going back there without her cigarettes. You want to go back there without my sister? And he laughed. He thought it was hilarious. And he just went like this. But on the way back, and they changed those officers every 2 hours. So on the way back, I had a young one. And you all know the story. If you don't know the story, raise your hand. But everybody's heard the story, how he was arrogant. And when I tried to tell him to stay away from my door, why? I'm 6 feet away. I said, you're not 6 feet away from my dog. Well, your dog should be in a harness and seatbelted in. I said, she is. But it doesn't hold her immobile. It gives her 3 feet. And if you come any closer, and Gracie was just sitting, staring, waiting. She was waiting for him to come to the door. Right? So this young man, he had to be 25, 30 maybe, with the sunglasses and the vest and that. And what upset me more than anything was I was made to wait 15 minutes. I had to shut my truck off. While this young cop, because they had stops going that way and stops going that way. So I had got stop going and I got stop going back. And he said, when he finally, and I was getting really angry because as I'm sitting there in my truck, I'm literally 5 minutes from my house, right? So I figured when the cop had asked me what I was doing and why it was necessary on the way down, that's what was going to happen coming back. That was a reasonable expectation. But while this young man for 15 minutes grilled the truck in front of me, which was just a 3/4 ton flatbed with some 2x4s on it that were strapped down. Nothing nefarious here, right? I sat and watched the ones being allowed to go through towards Wakefield. And they were bicycles. And I knew they weren't local. And I'm watching as they just let the bicycle people go through. And I said, why is that okay? Like I wasn't even talking to this guy yet. So I hollered. I said, why is it okay for the bicycle people to come through? Right? Because they figured they're on bikes that they had to be local. But I'm telling you, when you're wearing aerodynamic helmets and you got the water bottles and the $700 to $1,000 bicycle and your skin riding suits and that's not local people. And they ride long distances. But they just made the assumption that because they were on bikes, they were local. Or they were told to leave bikes alone. I don't know. So that was pissing me off. Because I'm a local. And I'm obvious a local because I told them where I lived when I was going. So when I came back, the guy come walking towards my truck after he finished grilling the guy. And now I'm pissed because I've been made to wait 15 minutes. And I'm watching other people just ride right through the other barricade while they're stopping the cars. Right? And then the guy approaches my vehicle from the passenger side door. And I said, stop where you are. And he's like, why? I'm within 6 feet, like real attitude. And I said, you're not within 6 feet of my dog. Well, your dog should be harnessed and strapped in. I said, it is. I said, but she has give. She's not held immobile. And if you come right to my passenger door, she can jump and reach out halfway. Her body length will go halfway out that window. And then you're going to shoot my dog. So stay where you are. I can hear you fine. Well, my attitude, Madame, why are you being so aggressive? I said, I'm not being aggressive. I've been made to sit here for 15 minutes while I watch obvious people from Ottawa riding their bikes casually down the highway, but me and other locals are being stopped. Why? How is that okay? And he goes, Madame, you must listen to me. He said, you cannot go back. You can't go back down that way again. You have to shop farther north. I said, no, I don't. No, I don't. And he said, yes, you can't. You have to go home and you have to quarantine for 2 weeks. I said, no, I don't. No, I don't. I said, did I wake up behind the Berlin Wall this morning? Oh, no. It's been torn down, hasn't it? These were police barricades, folks. And he goes, Madame. I said, look. I said, I don't care if you're the police. You have no right to tell me where I can shop and where I can drive and how long I have to stay at home. You do not have those rights. We have something called the Charter of Rights and Freedoms here. So, what are you going to do? Shoot me? Madame, I just need you to listen to me. I said, okay, speak. And I recorded it and I lost it, folks. I lost it. It's on the phone that Howie has now, and it was somehow deleted. But I had the phone sitting on my seat and I was recording everything because I had 15 minutes to think about what I was watching happen. And I put the phone down on my seat and was recording. And I lost the recording. So he said, if you'll just listen to me. And I said, okay. And he said, you can't go back to Wakefield. You'll have to shop farther north to prevent the spread. And I didn't say a word. I said, uh-huh. And he said, you have to quarantine in your house for 2 weeks. I went, uh-huh. And he goes, so please don't come back this way again on the high road or you're going to be blah, 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 blah. And I looked at him and I said, and if I do, am I under arrest? He said, you're not under arrest. I said, you damn right I'm not, because I know my rights and you're not scaring me. And when he let me go, when he said, go ahead, I spit gravel. I spin my tires, man, going around the barricade. And I got home and I lost and I went to look for it and I accidentally deleted it. But that was my one experience. And from that moment on, now I don't know if you guys believe in astrology and astrological signs and stuff, but I'm a Capricorn. And you just don't. You know, I mean, you could ask me politely. If he had been polite and explained himself, I would have went, well, that's reasonable. And I would have said, okay, thank you very much. And I would have went on my way and completely ignored the instructions because it's as my right as a Canadian citizen, right? Quebec was one of the worst provinces during the lockdowns. How they would throw people down on the ground because they refused to wear a mask in stores. Oh, yeah. I mean, so here's the deal. And this, if you want to tip me, it's okay because we're talking taboo subjects here. And so that last one, when I asked if you wanted, I'm not telling you to tip me. I'm not asking you to. But that last one where somebody tipped me $20, I gratefully accept because they took the monetization off that video. They let the ads run, but I don't get the revenue from it, right? Because we talked about connecting the dots, remember? And they're going to connect the dots. You got to cut the strings between the dots or they're going to close the net, remember? So, how it was handled made a big difference in my attitude. And so from that point on, I just got more stubborn. Like, because I went into the Costco and said, I don't have to wear a mask. I am, that's a clock, honey. It's my mother-in-law's old clock. It isn't set right. I wish Howie would take it downstairs because I have one right there that I need to put a battery in. But when I went to Costco and they told, hi, Plain Jane. When I went to Costco and I rolled in and said, I'm medically exempt. And they said, fine. And they forced me to wear a face shield. I said, you can't do this. Well, it's our store policy. You want to shop in here, you got to do this. I said, no, I don't. Right? This is a public place. I don't care if it's store policy. This is a store open to the public. And the thing is at that time, you could go in and say, I'm medically exempt from wearing a mask. And if they challenge you on that and say, prove it, you slap them, not physically, verbally. You say, you have no right to see my medical information. I don't have to prove anything to you, right? That was me, right? So, I mean, this was all a dry run for, they're trying it now with environmental lockdowns. And oh, by the way, the same as I does, you type just fine. Hey, freaky. I heard that the bans on going into the woods and stuff in Nova Scotia, at least one of them, if not both, the bans have been lifted because there was so much civil disobedience, they couldn't control everybody. They couldn't control everybody from going into the woods. Whole families were going into the woods and going for a walk. Say, sure, they'll charge me $125,000. Here's the trick, folks. I made a big mistake during the convoy. Oh, yeah. See, you guys didn't get to see a lot of this stuff because they won't let me put it up there. But if you go on Rumble, you'll see my convoy video. Okay? And when we went to the convoy the first day it rolled in, and we went down a couple of times over the next couple of weekends to drive through the city, make sure things were all, that's right, Phoebe, they can't. And on our way back, as we crossed over into Quebec, there were people crossing the bridge to go into Ottawa carrying flags, going across the lights in front of us. So I went beep, 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 like that, and they waved their flags. We had flags on our truck. And as soon as we went through the lights, whoop, 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 and we got pulled over. So we're getting pulled over. Howie was driving. I'm the one who reached over to hit the horn, right? And we were given a ticket for $171, I think, for unnecessary beeping of our horn, unnecessary noise. Now, if I had I refused to pay it, right? Here's the thing. If you are going to act civil disobedience against fines like that, you have to show up to court to fight it. 9 times out of 10, it will be thrown out. And they were just inundated with these tickets. It was a Quebec cop gave me a ticket. And if I had gone to court and said, look, people saw the flags on my truck. They were walking across the crosswalk in front of me. They waved their flags, and I went beep, beep, beep to say yes, hello. I don't deserve a ticket for that. It would have been thrown out. But I didn't. I just let it roll, and I ended up paying twice as much. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I watched how fast they put shit in place, right? And here's the deal. I'm a pureblood. That's what I got to say it that way, right? I'm still a pureblood. And I will not, and now they're trying to get it into food, right? But we're not going to talk about that today. Oh yeah, I still see people walking down the street wearing masks. But then Howie says, Bev, maybe they're sick and they don't want it to spread it. Or maybe they've got a cold and they don't want to pick up anything else. Right? So it's just a matter of live and let live. Right? Live and let live. But they weren't letting us live. And I was ripped apart on a live stream. I was called a granny killer. I said, who are you talking to? I am a granny. Well, this is before I had a grandbaby, but I'm watching traffic. I have fibromyalgia. I had chronic laryngitis, chronic bronchitis before I quit smoking cigarettes. What was the last cigarette I had? 2007. So it's been like 18 years since I've had a cigarette, right? But I have all of these underlying conditions, mobility issues, fibromyalgia, all of these things that I had all these things that my doctor wanted me to take the shot. And then it wasn't until I had a long phone conversation with my nurse practitioner saying, honey, I am medically contrary. I can't take Valium. It wakes me up, gets me busy. Hence why I could film my colonoscopy. And I'm over 55. I'm overweight. I've got fibromyalgia. I've had chronic lung issues in the past. And by rights, I was the demographic target they wanted to get injected. And I said no. And my doctor said, or the nurse practitioner said, well, the benefits far outweigh the risks. And I said, do they now? Isabel, who are you talking to? Right? I said, I've had reactions to flu shots. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, of course you didn't know that because it happened when I lived in Ontario. The second one happened when I lived in Quebec, but when I lived down when she wasn't my doctor. This was over 20 years ago, right? They was not the right type of, and everybody knows that the masks didn't work. Those medical I have a full box of masks still wrapped in plastic. And I bought it for Howie because of his going back and forth through the barricades. What is on the mask you are breathing in? Oh, yeah. See, and I've never had a COVID test. I won't let them test me. I wouldn't let them test me. Do you know why? Because the stuff that's on that thing that they push all the way up in here, trying to break the brain-blood barrier to get at your pineal gland. Okay? There was absolutely, and the test itself was a 50-50 at best. The ones you spit in. I saw people open packages of the tests that you're supposed to spit in, put water from the tap in them, and watch them go positive. Right? So either the test didn't work or they were poisoning us everywhere. And they were never designed for humans. Exactly. Well, I mean, if I wear a mask, it's because I'm doing something dusty or I was shoveling out a chicken coop. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. You wear a bandana over your face, right? Yeah, well, I mean, if they wanted my DNA, they've got it through my blood work from years ago, right? But the truth is, Howie's did a 23andMe. His mother bought him one. But I've got enough family members that have had it done that I don't need to do it. I used to a mask when cleaning out the fire stove flue, still got black soot up my nose. So the masks for COVID were right, exactly. Right. So if this was all a test, what have we learned? What have we learned if this was all a test? We learned who would cave and who wouldn't. And we learned that a lot of people's jobs were threatened. Right? Civil, Mindy. So, yeah. We all learned who we were. We all learned who we are since 2019. And some people just went right along and believed all the bullshit and did everything they were told. And a lot of people died. And there were a lot of people who resisted but had to save their jobs. And then there's people like us. And Howie even came close. He said, if it was a matter of me losing my job, he said, I probably would have taken it. But he said at the time, it was the ones that they were not a mRNA, they were an antigen antibody thing. But he never took it. He never took it because when he got this job, they told him, we don't give a crap. If you're willing to work, you're willing to work. He said, we're not going to put our, because guess what? Tradespeople are really hard to come by. So bosses were saying to body men and all the tradesmen, look, you come to work, you do what you have to come to work. I'm not going to enforce any rules on you. Well, yeah, right? I mean, even when he had his heart attack, they only did the one COVID test on him when he had his heart attack so that he could go in the next day and have the stent procedure, right? But he's never had the shot, never. And he's only been tested once. And I've never been tested. Like when someone said, because we got COVID twice before it became just the new flu, right? Are we talking about Gracie? What are we talking about here? What am I missing here? Oh yeah, Gracie's lost a lot of weight. We almost lost her a few times this in the late winter. And but she's back. Right? She can't eat kibble anymore. And she has to. Oh, guess what, folks? Guess what happened? My live was interrupted. So guess what? I'm going to go live on Life with the Wolfies. Meet you over there. I will never forgive my dad's wife for forcing him to take it. He died of lung cancer. I had a friend on YouTube and on Facebook who her husband got cancer. And they wanted him inoculated. And she said, no. And they said, well, you're going to have to wait then. And she said, are you refusing us treatment? And they said, no, but we have to look after the inoculated first. So it may delay his treatment. So he got the shot, got his treatment, got the second shot. The second shot and the third shot are the doozies. He got the second shot, had a stroke, and died. These are real people. Okay? I'm going to go over to Life with the Wolfies because we've been here for almost 2 hours, and I'm so happy you're keeping me company. But let me just say that Howie and I are the only ones in our families, the only ones that resisted. I got a couple of cousins that have not had it. Angie's one of them. My cousin Linda, my cousin Debbie. They refused to. They stuck to their guns. And nobody. And when I said I got COVID twice, yes, put no vaccines, no flu shots, allergic on any form you sign in the hospital. You put do not vaccinate or give me a flu shot or anything without my permission. This is not, you don't have permission to give me any needles without discussing it with me first. Shots like my son Briar, my son Arthur, no problems. At least I don't think so. But they stopped it too. Right? And it's the third one. My sister got the third one. And now she's having a cascade of health failure that she can't stop. Because she has no immune system. And because she stopped, she hasn't got an artificial immune system either. So it was a perfect plan, but they weren't counting on people like us old generation Jones, baby boomers, and Gen Xers. Because we're tougher than, we're not so easily led down the garden path. I'm going to go over to Life with the Wolfies, and I'm going to get up and go to the bathroom, and I'm going to get my grabber, and then we'll talk, okay? But we're going to be careful on Life with the Wolfies because that's my channel that I am building up from here on out, okay? So we'll talk about other things. Anyway, maybe I won't go. You know what? I'm not going to go on Life with the Wolfies because I have to chop up the meat. I just looked at the time. I got to chop up the meat and put the sauce in, and I've got to go lay down. Or I'm not going to be able to sit up with Howie tonight when he gets home. So I'm going to go chop up the meat and put the sauce in the crock pot, and I'm going to have a lay down. Maybe I will come back tonight on Life with the Wolfies because you guys, Life with the Wolfies is not getting anything, any videos right now, right? So if you please watch my videos, I'm not afraid to ask. If you run playlists on my videos, please only let the playlist run once and then switch to another playlist. After it runs once, they catch on. You can watch a playlist once and they'll understand you're watching it. But if you let it run twice, they're going, nah, this is not right. And they stop it. Okay. Gracie has been very, very ill in the late winter. And since Nan passed, but she's on her way back. She's 10 and a half years old and she's on herbal gut drops. Put your book up for sale. I haven't written it yet. Anyway, folks, thanks for coming in, and thanks for keeping me company, and thanks for supporting me when I can't do much at all, right? But soon we'll be back to Freaky Fridays and all that stuff as soon as I can sit comfortably at my desk again. Okay? I love you guys. Take care. God bless. I'm going to sit and sew. No, I'm not. I'm going to bed. I'm going to get up, go to the bathroom. I'm going to lay down for a couple hours, and then I'm going to come back out and sew. All right? Take care. God bless. This is as long as I have been able to sit in this chair. Okay? I love you guys. Never, ever forget that. And never let them shut you up. Free speech. This is supposed to be a free country. But our freedom of speech and our censorship has gotten so bad that honestly, people outside Canada who remember coming to Canada and it being a beautiful, clean, polite place. This is not the Canada you remember anymore. All right? So I love you all. Take care. God bless. Pray for Canada. We need it. Yeah, it's time for me to get out of this chair. Take care. God bless. I love you guys. I just had a spasm. I got to go lay down.